Hello and welcome. This is the first in a series of videos that intends to teach everything you need to know to hunt Eidolons. From hunting your first Eidolon all the way up to doing 5x3s. Keep in mind that these videos are not meant to be watched all at once, but to practice what I'm teaching in each video one at a time. This video will teach you how to capture your first Eidolon. In order to do Eidolons you need to have completed the War Within quest. The Eidolon terrorist spawns at night in the plains of Eidolon. Doesn't matter if you entered the plains before or after it's night, either way, when it's night, the terrorist will spawn, and will despawn when it's day. To track the Cetus day-night cycle you can go to the website clockofelidolon.com. If you are new to Eidolons I advise you to use the Eidolon terrorist bounty from Konzu on Cetus. It becomes available after it turns night on the plains, this way you'll get other players to help you take down the terrorist. For hunting the terrorist any tanky Warframe will do, that is Rhino, Oberon, Chroma, Harrow or Wukong. Volt, Trin or Limbo could also be used, but they are much harder and squishy. Build lots of health. Corrosive Projection will amp your damage more than any other aura mod, if your polarity doesn't match or you don't have it. Enemy Radar, Rifle Amp, Steel Charge or Fizzy Quirk 2. Shield Disruption does not work on the Eidolon's shields, so it is useless against them. For weapons, snipers and gun blades like Clanker, Rubico, Vectis Prime, Redeemer Prime or Struffo are the best for Eidolons, but for terrorist any high damage gun that can hit a small target in movement will do, heck, Optica, Quartak, and even some bows. Radiation is the most effective damage type against Eidolons, not the status effect, but the damage type itself, so build 90% heat plus electricity mods. Eidolons are completely immune to status effects, and slash damage sucks against them, so with the incredible exception of Tigris Prime, all slash weapons suck for Eidolons. For starters I recommend using Zenuric, because it's the first focus tree you should max, as it's the best one in general. Companions don't matter too much for Eidolons, the best Sentinel is Wim because of Negate, which prevents status effects every now and then, but it's not a big deal, the Sentinel with the most survivability you have will do. Health and energy pads are very useful. The Archwing launcher is not needed but it's useful for traveling the plains faster. The K-Drive launcher is also useful and much easier to obtain than Archwing. The most important equipment other than a tanky Warframe and gun, is a good amp. Because damaging the Eidolon's shields, is actually one of the hardest and most important parts of hunting Eidolons. For this you will need a good amp, which I will explain in detail in another video. Just know that I recommend you build yourself a 2x2, or a 2x3 amp as early as you can. Because Void Beam and Motamp suck really bad. The first thing you gotta do when entering the plains, is go to a high spot and look for the pillar of light marking the Eidolon spawn, and mark it with a waypoint, or if you entered plains before night, do it when night falls. Otherwise you may have a hell of a lot of trouble finding the terrorist. The second thing to do is to find and hack an Eidolon lure. These are the lures closest to the Cetus gate. I'll advise you grab only one lure at first, so that it charges faster. I will explain lures in more detail in another video. If you find any Vomvlists nearby, shoot them to feed them to the lure, then go meet the Eidolon. Do the same with any Vomvelists you find on your way to the Eidolon. You need 3 to fully charge one lure. Upon arriving to where the Eidolon is, you will notice its health bar appears grey and it is immune to damage. That is because its shields are up, and the only thing that can damage the Eidolon's shields is void damage from Operator's amps. Switching to Operator will let you see the Eidolon's shields in the form of a purple health bar. Start the boss fight by hitting the Eidolon's shields with your amp until you deplete them completely. Depending on the amp you have, this may take a while, reason why I advise using the Terrorist bounty in public matchmaking. Be patient and avoid any attacks from the Eidolon by going into void mode. If you are using the Schwack Prism, I find it does the most damage by keeping 20 to 30 meters distance from the Eidolon. When you finally deplete the shields, the Eidolon will glow red for an instant, indicating its shields are down. At this point it's time to break the first Synovia. The Synovias are 4 weak points located in the elbows and arms of the Eidolon. These must be broken with a Warframe weapon after depleting the Eidolon's shields. This is where we use our weapon with radiation damage, which is the most effective damage type to break the Eidolon's Synovias, or limbs as we call them. If you are using a sniper rifle, zooming it in all the way by pressing Alt Fire while aiming will buff its damage. When a Synovia is broken, the Eidolon will charge and release an energy spike, which is a massive attack of 5 pulses of 5k magnetic damage each in a 50-meter radius, which can easily one-shot Warframes and Operators. Energy spike can easily be avoided by using void mode, but the magnetic damage will still drain the energy from your Warframe. It is very important to make sure you have a charged lure within 50 meters of the Eidolon before breaking a Synovia. If you don't have a charged lure when breaking the Synovia, the Eidolon will teleport to a random location in the plains and regenerate 100% of its shields. If you have a charged lure when breaking the Synovia, the Eidolon will stay in place, and only regenerate 50% of its shields after the energy spike. Charged lures are indicated by a blue lure marker and aura on them. Rinse and repeat. After the energy spike, you must deplete the Eidolon's shields with your amp again, and then break another Synovia. You must do this 4 times in total. You can switch between Warframe and Operator to see if the Eidolon is in shield, or limb breaking phase. After breaking the second Synovia, the Eidolon will enrage, throwing stronger and more frequent attacks at you. Because of this, I advise you mark the Eidolon, and go find a second lure to bring to the fight. After breaking the first Synovia, you will need 2 charged Eidolon lures to capture the Terrorist. If your lures die halfway through the fight, it's no big deal, mark the Eidolon and go hack more. Just make sure you have 1 charged before breaking each Synovia. All of the Eidolon's attacks can be avoided with void mode. Except the shockwave that pushes you back, for some reason, but that can be easily countered by void dashing right after it hits you. After breaking the 4th and last Synovia, the Eidolon will drop to the ground and cry for help, summoning Vomvelists around them, which will be absorbed by the Eidolon to increase its health in the final stage. Kill these Vomvelists with your amp. Before breaking the last Synovia, however, make sure you have 2 lures with enough health to endure till the end of the fight. The final stage of the fight summons many Vomvelists, so it should be easy to fully charge 2 new lures should you need to. After laying on the ground for 30 seconds, the Eidolon will stand up, pooping even more Vomvelists out of its butthole. At this time the final phase will begin. The Eidolon's whole body will be vulnerable to damage, and it can be killed. Use your radiation-built weapons and aim for the head. After killing the Eidolon, if 2 fully charged lures are attached to it, it will sink into the ground and be captured. The lures will explode, dropping 2 Eidolon shards, 1 Warframe arcane, and a bunch of sentient cores. Be sure to pick them up. You can also kill the many Vomvelists that will be around at this point to pick up even more sentient cores, which can be traded for quills standing, and will allow you to build a better amp, and operator arcanes. Congratulations, you have captured your first Eidolon.
Unless...
Some tips to finish this video. Eidolon lures can be healed by Trinity or Oberon. Trinity heals better, but is much squishier than Oberon, so pick your poison. Luck pins are very useful for quickly finding lures and stuff like the Cetus Skate, even if you are an advanced player. The luck pin blueprint can be bought from the Tenno Dojo Lab for 5,000 credits. I will cover luck pins in depth in another video. Regenerating Scream is the less obvious attack of the Eidolon to figure out. When its shields are down, the Eidolon will scream and glow blue, reverting to shield phase, linking all nearby Vomvelists to it, and slowly regenerating its shields over time. The Eidolon will be completely immune to damage and keep regenerating its shields until all Vomvelists linked to it have been killed. After all Vomvelists linked to the Eidolon have been killed, its shields must be taken down again. Arcane Nullifier, which drops from the Terra list, will make you immune to the energy drain from the Eidolon fight at max rank. Alto K drives are slower and buggier than Archwings. They are much easier to obtain, and will come handy for traveling long distances, which is often needed when fighting Eidolons. That's it for this video. Goodbye.
Please subscribe.